It's the theme from Countdown.
I know. It's all right.
Hey guys, welcome to that pedal show. BCQ, Dan here.
Mick here. Hello. Where are we, Dan?
It is. We're at the old shed.
Yeah. This is what the old shed looks like now. It's the gig rig room that Dan uses, and we are here today because we've just had a band rehearsal.
It was awesome.
Which was great. We're playing a gig on the 10th of January in Frome. It's super low key because
super low key.
We've got this chicken and egg situation as if we don't do any gigs, it will never happen. But we also don't have the time to rehearse. And neither, because obviously the guys we use for bass and drums need to be paid as well. It's a bit rough around the edges, but that should make it fun.
It's going to be fun. Like rehearsals have been so much fun. Yeah, so whereabouts is it?
In Frome at the Cheese and Grain Cafe.
Awesome.
Yeah,
okay.
On the 10th of January. It is the 30th of December.
Tomorrow is the 31st of December.
The last
New Year's
day.
Eve.
Yeah, so this will go out on the 31st, the last day of 2018. Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
I don't believe you have a beverage.
No,
now,
I don't.
so
Hang on. I'll drink straight from this. I'll get the dregs from...
We corked it. Okay, so VCQ from last Friday's show, which was about...
Delays.
10
great ways to use your delay.
Yeah, and great response.
It's very, very good.
Good response. Okay, well, as always, let's start with the important stuff. Simon Burley says, or at least I think he's been on the pop. He says,
so.
IMHO, which means in my humble opinion, not a great episode. Sorry, what are the 10 things? Did I miss that bit? You're drunk, mate. Isn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, moving on, something more positive.
Scott Howe 1972 says, I saw a meme today that said Australians are just British Texans. That's very good. I thought Dan might get a kick out of it. I did indeed get a kick out of it. Thank you so much.
I mean, I've been to Texas a bit, and Texas is a proud state.
Yeah.
I think for anyone to, say that you might be in any way Texan is a great compliment.
Right.
British Texan, I don't know about that, but...
Australia's a big place, though.
Okay, so Quantometric Coluccio,
Nice.
Time Browser, and Caspian Audio all want to know where the dB meter comes from. We've got a dB meter on the wall which has infuriated a bunch of people. We will move it. But it came from the great retailing giant Amazon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, is where it came from.
Cool.
If you search for large dB meter, large display dB meter, that's where I got it.
I just wish we could slow down the sampling
yeah,
rate.
which I don't think you can. So
No.
if anyone knows a software hack for it,
we'll try some hairspray. Okay, Adam F says the chorus on the JC20 is so delicious, such a good sounding amp, especially for a solid state. I think we should say it's just a great sounding amp.
it's a good amp. Yeah,
It's a good amp. Is it a newie or an oldie? It's brand new. Out
brand
of the
new,
box.
and it's a JC40, not a JC20.
JC40, yes.
They do a 22, I think,
Right.
something like that, and a 40. It's a 40, and it's brand new. It was a new model a few years ago.
Yep, killer.
James Godin, the main problem I have using in-tempo delays live is when the drummer gets more enthusiastic during the song and we go up a few BPM. A good example is Shut Up and Dance. There's an in-time delay bit at the beginning which crops up later in the song. Invariably I have to re-tap the delay for a second time around because the drummer has picked it up a fair bit. A good solution is to not play the song, but they all love it at weddings. Well, that's what tap tempo is for.
Yeah. There is it the flight time that has the microphone built in?
Yeah.
And
real-time BPM analyzer.
Yeah. So if you do speed up, the flight time's microphone, you speed up within plus or minus 20%, it will actually change the delay time. It's very, very clever.
It's very cool. But that's what tap tempo is for. It's there so you can do that. I'm just going to check this camera's running.
I was going to sing Paranoid, but then I just had Iron Man stuck in my head, and that's not going to be.
You heard the Cardigans version of Iron Man?
No!
It is spectacularly good. Anything Nina Persson does is alright by me, but that is exceptional.
Okay, Big Country. Question. I have a Chase Bliss tonal recall and an Echoplex pedal. Which order would you patch those? Either way sounds amazing to me, but I'm not super familiar with the recall yet and know it has a lot to it. It doesn't really matter. If you're using one specifically for a short delay and one for a longer delay, I tend to have the shorter delay in front. But it doesn't really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Um,
What about the preamp in the Echoplex?
so the preamp in the Echoplex will be colouring anything that goes after it.
So that might be a
So
consideration.
it might be, but it is just having a play
Yeah.
and see which one. There isn't any rule about which order delays go. I like a shorter delay in front of a longer delay, but
Yeah.
no hard and fast rule.
Very, very well delayly endowed there, I would say.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
those two.
Great pedals.
Dude Meister.
Yeah, man.
Is that trick with the octave something that all delays do, or just the Ibanez? You swing the delay time fast in either direction and it turns into an octave up or down.
Yes, so any delay can do it. That has a knob on it. You can change the delay time.
Some delays I've had, when you change the delay time, it kind of stops everything and then it won't start working again until it's found the new delay.
Oh, okay.
But
Interesting.
any analog delay
certainly
should do it.
okay. Certainly any analog delay.
Most digital delays.
Most digital delays, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think which pedal it was that didn't do it. You changed the delay time and it kind of stopped.
Sure wasn't broken.
Yeah. There you go. That's how uncommon it is. So yes, most delays should do it.
Okay, for Vale. Hey, Francisco here. Francisco. My pedal board is set up like this. Phase 90 into a flashback 2 type delay, into fuzz, into tremolo, all straight to the amp. I want to have another delay always on to do a really short slapbacky, almost reverby sound. So what type of delay should I use and where do I have to put it? If you want to have a reverb sounding delay, the repeats need to be able to be crisp. Otherwise, on an analog delay with a really, really short delay time, on a warm analog sounding delay, that will get lost a bit.
Yep.
Right? So if you want a reverb sounding delay, which is another trick that we didn't do, really, really short delay times with longer repeats can give you a reverb type sound. A really good example of this, if you have a flashback, is downloading the Josh Smith tone print, because he's got a really great reverb type sound in one of his tone prints. It's very cool. And I would put that right at the very end after everything.
Evan Miller, hello Evan. I find the slapback delay, doubling delay and dotted eighths to be super useful for my tone. I must say I struggle with longer delays and modulation in the context of a live band. I love the sound at home, but once the band fires up, it gets lost. What are your thoughts? So long delays and modulations get lost in a band setting.
Yeah. So what I love about longer delays in a band setting is if you're doing simple melodic lines, it just thickens them up. Now, if you're doing, super fast, shreddy type stuff, it can get messy. That's when the really short delay times sort of come into their own. But
all about what you're playing, isn't it?
It's all about what you're playing.
One of the songs we're playing in the That Pedal Show band is "Run to You" by Bryan Adams. Regular viewers will know that Dan and I are both massive Bryan Adams fans. A for the songwriting, B for the guitar sounds. Just killer guitar sounds. And even like all the way through the chords in the chorus, I've got my quarter note delay going on in that.
Yeah, right.
And it just makes it. You'd think it would never work,
but if you've got a lot of density in the sonic range that's going on, yes, it can be trickier, but that's when we whip it down to the short delay times and cut straight through.
Bosh.
Right, William Sanderson says, can you give us some comments in the VCQ on the use of reverb in conjunction with delay? I usually have a small bit of reverb on all the time, even when using a delay. Is that appropriate? Absolutely. In my wet-dry situation, my dry amplifier, which I use the Laser J20 little Tweed Deluxe thing, always had the reverb on, and then I kick a reverb pedal on into the wet amplifier if I want to. So I have a spring reverb in the Laser J and a plate reverb in the Soltec, and that in conjunction with delays.
Reverb's another one of those things, isn't it? A bit like a long delay where you'll play it at home and you really notice it, and it sounds really obvious. And then in the band, it's kind of. Is my reverb on? And then you turn it off and you realise that it absolutely is.
So a good trick with that is try a shorter decay time.
Oh yeah, okay.
On your on the reverb,
Yeah.
and then you can give it a bit more level in the reverb with shorter decay, and it becomes very present, but it doesn't wash over everything you play.
Yeah. Nice. I love reverb. Some people hate it.
Yeah, magic.
Stratak says, can you guys coax some Strymon timeline delay settings out of Andy Timmons? I'm running the Strymon into the effects loop of a Lone Star in a wet dry with a Lone Star and a stiletto, which is what Andy does. And likewise, Richard Bartlett says, what reasonably priced delay pedal would you recommend for the Andy Timmons quarter into dotted eighths?
Well, okay, so yes, so Andy uses the timeline for that. He has told me before exactly what his settings are, but we were drunk, and
was that in New York?
I think
we saw him in New York. Didn't we?
We did.
At Les Paul's Club.
Yeah. Oh man,
what a night that was!
Magic.
So Randy Wilcox, if you're watching this, hello Randy.
Yeah, hey
we
Randy.
walked in and Randy bought us dinner. We didn't know anyone in New York, and Randy knew us, and he bought us dinner. It was just amazing.
It was awesome. The martinis.
Yeah,
What a great
anyway,
Andy was the first guy we had on the show.
He was.
We had like 2 subscribers at that point, and I said, "Yeah, I'll do it." And it's like, he's such a wonderful guy, and if you listen to that, so the way that he uses his timeline is on all the time, but he uses an expression pedal to mix it in. But he just has it on that. I don't even think he taps he doesn't change the delay time. He just blends in the effect level.
So the delay, the volume of the delay itself is what's on the expression.
Exactly.
Do I remember him saying that he uses the timeline because it simulates 2 echo?
So you can
memory bands.
Yes, yeah. So you got the dual delay setting on the timeline.
Yeah.
Which gives you those 2 delay sounds in parallel.
Yeah.
And yeah, come on.
So to answer the question is, do we know what the settings is? No, we don't. But it is a quarter note and a dotted eighth.
It is a quarter note and a dotted eighth.
So you need one delay that's a quarter note and one that's a dotted eighth. I'm going to guess that it's probably with the memory man maxed out.
Yeah,
so 370
something. Yeah. I
milliseconds.
think that's right. That's right.
Try 370 on the long delay,
yep.
And then a dotted eighth back from that.
I'll call Andy.
Yeah,
and I'll confirm.
Because you can do that.
I can do that.
Nice. So Richard, what reasonably priced can do that? Does that little AD9 do a quarter and a dotted eighth, or are they different?
I think no, they're different. They just
I
don't know exactly what they are. It's
any delay that can do 2 delays in one box, which is and that you can set the time and has subdivisions. So timeline
and modulation. You have to have modulation of those repeats.
Yeah,
it's
there are a few pedals that do the dotted eighth thing in addition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the dual. I mean, the Empress delay pedal, the ecosystem. I mean, that thing's magic because you can choose any 2 delays and have them on together,
which is not reasonably priced.
It's not reasonably priced, but it's I don't know.
I wonder if there's I bet there's a TC Electronic tone print.
I bet there is. I bet there is.
Go on the TC Electronic website, have a look through the tone prints, because Andy's got some TC Electronic tone prints, I believe, and see if there's one in there. And if there is, you can buy a Flashback Mini, which is about as cheap as it gets.
Very good. Right, the Northern Chris says, I only have 1 delay on my board, the Boss DM2 Waza, very nice, I love it, but I have to change the time setting mid-gig as there are a few songs which use the delay differently. It literally takes about a second to do it, but I like the idea of getting something like an alter ego ×4. But then I would use that beautiful analog delay. I feel it's a fair compromise. Does anybody else change pedal settings during a gig? I change pedal settings every song. Absolutely. Messing with pedals and messing with the knobs and pedals is what they're there to do.
What they're there for. Yeah.
Go and watch a Radiohead gig and watch Ed O'Brien. He's honestly, you see the way he uses the pedals on his board, and he's setting up these loops and stuff live. And he is an absolute magician. It's,
It's frustrating though, isn't it? Especially if the knob doesn't allow you to get it actually in time with the song if you need it to be in time. So this question comes up a bit later, so we'll answer it later. But the answer is add something else. Keep the DM2 was because it's such a beautiful sound.
Yeah. But buy another one. Buy another DM2 was it?
Or get something that's got simple tempo on it so that you can use it for that.
Sure.
There's no expression pedal option on the DM2 Wells,
No.
or is there? You can't
No,
tap
no,
anything into that.
No.
Okay.
No.
Wallace Dye. Wallace Dye. Sounds like a treatment for denim. The Wallace Dye method.
I've had these Wallace Dyes.
Yeah.
They're now done.
Excellent, William Wallace Dye. Long-time viewer, first-time commenter. Great show this week, thank you, Wallace. Delay is one of my favourite effects. I have an Avalanche run by Earthquaker devices, very nice. And I discovered that sound happens when you turn the delay time down really low. I have to go again. And I discovered that sound that happens when you turn the delay down really low, and I have loved it. I had someone call it phase cancellation. Is that an accurate description? Also, there are a lot of other pedals that have this dual delay function. I'm confused. What's going on?
So when you turn the delay time down,
Yeah.
really low, and so really short delay.
Oh, okay, right.
That's what it took. So yeah.
My
So
apologies, Wallace.
yeah, it is. It's not this. It is the phase relationship between the two signals.
Yes.
It becomes more complex. Yes, there is some phase cancellation, but there is some phase addition as well. So it's not just phase cancellation, it's the phase relationship between the two signals.
Because when you get the delay time really short and you vary it ever so slightly, that's when you get things like chorus and flange.
That's right, but as long you get chorus and flange, but you still have to have one of those delay times modulated.
Yeah.
If you just have them together, and you imagine those two sine waves, there's one sine wave and there's the other one, and they're really close together, what happens is when they cross and when they cross on top of each other, they can add, but when they're out of phase with each other, they cancel phase. It's just about that phase relationship between those two signals. Now you take one of those signals and then you start moving that time backwards and forwards, it gets closer to the edge and then further away from the edge. And that's when you get to chorus and flanging.
Mark Pritchard Guitar asks, using the slapback delay or the dotted eighth notes for the edge stuff, is it better to put the delay before the amp or after the amp for better results? So if you want edge type delays with the dotted eighth, should you use it in the loop or should you use it in the front? Doesn't matter. Depends on the amp.
Depends entirely on the amplifier.
Yeah. And to be honest, if you're doing proper edge sounds and you're using, I don't know, Memory Man,
AC30s and
Korg SDD, specific sounding preamps which create part of the whole sound going into the front of the amp.
Yeah.
So I would say get a Memory Man and put it in the front. But
definitely. Cool. Roger Bontemps.
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 Bontemps means good times.
Oh. Very good.
Roger Bontemps. I think that's a made up name. Roger Good Time.
Says when stacking.
Roger by name, Roger by nature, right?
He says when stacking delays, is it better to have one analog and one digital, or is it simply a question of preference? If it is better to have one of each, in what order should they be? I run a wet, dry rig, by the way. Cheers, lads. Okay, Mr. Good Times. It's just preference. The two delays, I'll always have at least one analog and one digital, and the digital is only for functionality because there are certain things that I can do with a digital delay that I can't do with the analog. The reality is I probably use the analog 90% of the time.
Yep, me too.
But there are certain things that, for functionality wise, that I can do with the digital delay, and then I'll run them into each other. Great. But it's just a matter of preference.
Great to have the versatility of whatever the digital can offer, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Things like, analog delays have tap tempo too, but typically a digital delay will probably have a tap tempo and some other things that are really useful functions. Long Grass Studios. You guys touched on ambient sounds there. How about an ambient video in terms of getting the right mix of delays and reverbs? And Jay Yelton asks for the same thing too. Ambient sounds.
Yeah.
We stuck our toe in the shoegaze pond, didn't we?
Yeah, there are guys that are really good at it. I am hoping that a dear friend of mine is going to come on the show and help us out with that, but I'm not going to mention too much about this at the moment.
And if it happens, you literally won't believe it.
Yeah,
there you go.
G. Bill says, for VCQs, what is the best way to dial in a delay without a tap tempo? What is the best way to dial in a delay for lead and soloing? Does it have to be in time with the song? How loud and how many repeats? So no, it doesn't have to be in time with the song. The
You should watch the show, really.
Yeah, it's all on the show. There's a short delay single repeat for a slapback. You can have a longer delay with lots of repeats for this, a more of a wash sound. It's all there. There's no wrong answer to it. It's what you like. Just have a play.
All I will say is that quite a lot of very classic delay sounds exist somewhere between 150 for your slapback, 100 to 150 for slapback.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get out of that world. We're talking about delays that are longer than slapbacks. Anywhere between 250 and 400 is
nice echo.
Is where most echo, classic echo lives. Yep. And the way you can get it to get out of your way, if it's being too prominent, is to filter those repeats.
That's right.
Analog delays do it naturally, and if you watch the bit in the video where we talk about changing the sound of the repeats, that will really cover that off and explain how to do that.
Very good. Okay, some general cues. Davis Hill says, "Hi Dan and Mick. How are the two amps mixed in the audio? Mono for both, or are they panned at all? Does the mixing change for stereo wet dry setups?"
The way I mix the audio is when we run two amps, when Dan says, we're using, for example, the Sovtech and the Marshall, and he says, here's the sound of the Sovtech. When you hear the Sovtech on its own, I'll pan it straight down the middle, usually, if I remember. And then you hear the Marshall, and here's the Marshall, and you'll hear that pan straight down the middle. And here's them together. What you'll hear them is toed out slightly, so maybe 10 to 12 in Logic's pan. It goes. Right. I've said this before. It goes to 64, and my hands don't bend around that far. But panned out just a bit to give them a little bit of separation. If we do proper stereo, they'll be panned hard right and left.
Right.
And wet dry, similarly, they won't be panned hard right and left. They'll just be panned like that, a little bit, just for a bit of spread. What also confuses that is that at the back of the room in the middle is a mid-side configuration pair of condenser microphones. So they are capturing a stereo image. Mm. So by the time it gets all the way back there, you're not going to hear all of that amp in that speaker. You're going to hear both of them in both speakers. So yes, they are panned, but not absolutely hard right and left.
Yep. Darren Batty says, "Hello guys, can anyone tell me what board Mick is using? The actual pedal board, that is. I can't find anywhere."
I think this was on an old video. I think it was the custom pedal boards.
Right.
So I use two pedal boards. One is by custompedalboards.com.co.uk. Anyway, Custom Pedal Boards, British company. And my latest pedal board, same as Dan uses, is the Schmidt Array SA525. Schmidt, SCHMIDT, Array, ARRAY, who, in my humble opinion, make the best pedal boards anywhere on the planet.
Yeah, they're wonderful. Only thing about the Schmidt Array boards is that I don't know if I was doing a world tour.
Yeah, the custom pedal boards,
the custom pedal boards is a full-on flight case.
Yeah, true.
If for local stuff, throwing in the van and that sort of stuff, the Schmidt Array thing is just superb.
It's light, it's beautifully made, and it makes you feel good. Which,
yeah,
that's why we turn up.
Yeah.
Gemma Seymour. Hello, Gemma.
Hello, Gemma.
A question for Monday. Is there a database of all the pedals you've used and in which episodes? Now, that's a blooming good idea. YouTube doesn't exactly have great search features, and there are so many episodes now, it's difficult to know if you feature pedal. That is a brilliant idea. Someone actually did that and sent us it a while ago.
Really?
Yeah, but it was a long time ago. It's probably 18 months ago, and we haven't updated it.
Okay.
We have got small dreams of...
Tiny dreams.
Getting...
the album.
An Oppo. Someone to help with production, and Simon, don't worry, it's not to replace you. It's someone to help.
A nappy Brody.
Because TPS is fast becoming a full-time job. We're thinking of maybe getting some help if we can possibly afford it, and if we can, that would be a great job for that person to do in their downtime.
Brilliant.
Good suggestion, thank you, Gemma.
Yes, thank you, Gemma. Digit56 says, in this episode with 9 awesome fuzz pedals, you say always use 2 amps, yet some distortion and overdrive pedals do not sound good with all amps. So what do you look for if you want a 2 amp setup? I have a Victory V40, very nice. Apart from another V40, what would be a good amp to pair it with? Experimenting with different amps is financially not possible.
How do you choose your 2 amps, Dan?
Do a vining stick and just walk around. Oh, that one. So what I'll do is...
We need to wrap this up. I've run out of booze.
Okay. I I have my wet amp, which takes all the reverbs and delays, is a full frequency, large headroom amplifier. The dry amplifier typically has less headroom, so the J20, even though that thing seems to have great headroom, but that's for a wet dry setup. If you're doing a classic stereo setup, you might want to
very similar,
two
all the
J40s,
same.
you know. But it is, you know, it is experimenting.
I find that if the amps are radically different, that creates problems. So if one is super gainy and one's super clean, the point you're saying is absolutely right. The pedals will react very differently to those two amps. So I go for something similar, and the good news is the V40 is for me sits in a really beautiful place in terms of gain, because you can have it wide open and high headroom, or you can turn up the preamp gain and have the master down, and it can be nice and gainy. So you could pick anything from a Blues Junior to a Hot Rod Deluxe to even something like a Princeton. So many amps would go well with the
Princeton's a good shout, actually. I think.
Yeah, Princeton's a great shout.
Yeah.
With the V40, Greg Nelson or Nielsen, Greg Nielsen. How about we get the TPS brains? Looking at wireless options, would love to hear their thoughts.
You know what? I'm really happy with a cable.
I haven't heard a wireless yet that I can use because of the buffer.
If
one exists.
Very interesting. Okay, if you look at Brian May's touring rig, he has to have his treble booster on his guitar strap, guitar into the treble booster into the wireless system, because the buffers from the wireless just do not work with those vintage style.
I so hope that's true.
Yeah, it's very true. It's true, because if you look at there's a rig rundown just done recently, where his tech goes through his guitars. Yeah. Because I was wondering how he did it, because it's running around the stage and it sounds just like him. I'm thinking, and he's got, I think it's Greg Fry.
Yes.
Has built this special treble booster that's on his strap.
So what you're saying is we could build a special like parachute type backpack. Put the whole pedal board on the back,
and you run around like that.
And then use a wireless.
And at the end of the gig, press a button and just fly off.
Yeah, I like that. Angus Young, a big part of Angus Young's sound is his wireless unit. But it is a very specific sound, and as Dan says, I am happy with the cable.
Because we use a lot of vintage style germanium fuzzes and things. That's where it becomes difficult.
Yeah, and you know how sensitive I am to extra buffers.
Yeah.
I did have a Line 6 Relay G30, which has got basically it's probably just an EQ switch.
It's not the same thing.
Huh?
It tells you what
cable
is.
Yeah, and it just lops off a load of high end.
Basically.
And that worked okay.
But it's not the same.
No.
Because it's still anyway.
Right,
Kelvin Burn, among quite a few others.
Kelvin
Burn.
Kelvin Burn. That's got to be a made-up name as well, hasn't it? Because Kelvin's like temperature.
That's very good. Very good. Kelvin, among quite a few others, has asked, any chance of an episode about cutting through a band mix, frequencies, etc.? Would love to hear the new Victory preamp pedals through that Roland if you get a chance. Thanks for all the knowledge in 2018, and here's to an educational 2019. Thank you very much, Kelvin. Yes, we will do. So one of the things we really want to do this year is do some more live stuff. It is just be aware that getting a drummer and a bass player in and setting everything up live, it's a massive undertaking.
It just makes and this please, we mustn't moan or sound negative about what we do, but it basically makes the day 3 times as expensive.
Yeah.
Five times as expensive maybe, because you've got to pay everyone to turn up, plus you only get half as many videos shot. And while we have ambition to do that, we still don't have the resources to do it.
Yeah. But it is something that we do want to do.
Yeah.
Because it's a very relevant question, and we can talk about it, and we can we can do some stuff with 2 guitars. And one of the videos that we did a couple of years ago is on how to get great solo tones, and we're talking about that then, and that's still one of our most watched videos.
But if you want a quick fix, there are 3 things: turn the gain down, turn the bass down, turn the treble up.
There you go.
And when I say treble, I mean anything from 3K to 10. By the time you get up to 10, it's presence-ish. But 3K, 3.2K will give you a really nice, sizzly cut through.
Yeah. And you get all the attack.
And there is a reason why, tube screamers are so popular, because they lock all the bass off and they give you a massive mid-hump, which isn't 3K, it's more like 5 to 800. But in any case, more mid and high, less bass, less gain, you'll cut through.
Happy days.
Yeah.
Yep.
Brandon Bayfield. Is it just me? To quote Derek Jameson. Or has the mix volume been way down on guitars in the last couple of videos? I can hardly hear them. I put this question in. I've selected this question because a lot of people have gone any combination of I can't hear the guitars, I can't hear the voices.
The guitars are too loud.
The guitar's too loud, the voices are too loud. What the hell's going on? I did ask Brandon what he's listening on.
Right.
And if it's the same person, I think he said he was listening on his laptop.
Okay.
With the volume turned up. And similarly, if you're listening on a laptop, a mobile phone, any kind of home theatre thing with the digital processing in it, you're going to get a mix that's way off what we mix for. Because all those things...
I listen on my
does it work all right?
Sounds epic. You're getting 4K TV with the soundbar. Sounds fantastic.
Mine's all bass and it's got no guitar mid-range in it. Mine. So
great.
The guitars sound quiet.
Well, no, you've got to put it on the vocal setting.
Oh, okay, fine. But if you listen to that pedal show with some decent headphones out of your laptop, it will sound as it should.
Yeah.
And hopefully you shouldn't get too much problem with the difference between the two. I'm really careful about all the levels and everything. And it might be that certain things do a sum to mono function, which my brain can't understand.
Sure.
So
Oyster O'Grady says, "Hey guys, loved this video. Curious on how you guys keep your pedals clean. I'm not comfortable using anything damp or wet, so flicking and wiping off dirt will do for now."
I like this question.
It is a great question.
One fantastic advantage of using a nice pedal board and a switcher is your pedals stay in fantastic condition.
Yeah, they don't get touched apart from the knobs.
Yeah.
But
use a brush.
If I'm really going to go to town, I'll use Mr. Sheen. And a nice dry cotton cloth. I've been down to Mr. Sheen a few pedals in my time.
Yeah. I mean, whether it's guitars, pedals, amps or whatever, if the cloth is just ever so slightly damp, it won't cause any problems at all. A wet cloth, yeah, that's not so good. But
sure.
So a little bit of moisture, fine if you need to do that. Usually, it should be dry, the gack on your pedals, unless you've had some tosser spill a beer over it, such as me. I have spilled beer over my own pedal board before. Anyway, okay. A few people have asked about feedback, including Jeff Harper. Hello, Jeff. He says, it was a wonderful show. Jeff had two questions. Sorry, I'm confusing myself.
Right.
So first question was about feedback. Can we do a show on feedback? And how loud do we have to play for the feedback to work?
This is what a great idea.
Yeah.
Because there are some great tricks that you can do with that.
Yeah.
Okay, done.
And then secondly, Jeff was asking about why we didn't show, this is back to the delay episode, why we use the free the tone for most of the delay settings and why we didn't do them on all of the pedals. And there's two answers to that.
The first answer is on the free the tone you can see exactly the delay time. So that was fairly obvious, and that also we could manipulate the filters for the repeats and the modulation. I mean, it was all on there.
Yeah, not all delay pedals will do all of those things we were doing, whereas the free the tone would.
Like Braxall says, I have watched your video on the wet and dry rig several times, and I'm not sure exactly how you got 3 amps to be in phase. Can you please go over it again? I would greatly appreciate it. With the switching and humdingers and things that we use, there are phase reversal switches on them. It's quite simple. If you're going to have 3 amplifiers, you start with 2 amps, you get those in phase, and then you turn the 3rd amp on, and you get that in phase with the 2 amps that are already in phase. We are going to be doing an in-depth look at wet-dry because it's a really common question. So we want to make the definitive wet-dry, wet-dry, wet video.
Remember him?
Look, when I was playing gigs in Singapore, we were under contract to play Wet, Wet, Wet every night.
Wow. Which one?
The
Final question. No funny one this week. Everyone's been way too polite this week. So it's a serious question.
Okay.
Well, semi-serious. Cody Magnum, hello Cody, says, related to phase, any update on flipping the phase of the bell epoch, Mick?
He's got it sorted. He's nailed it.
I've come up with a solution that I'm really pleased with.
Yeah, it's perfect.
So for anyone who doesn't know, I recently bought a Catlin bred Bell Epoch Deluxe because I love the sound of it so much.
Not belly pork
Yeah.
or belly pock.
Belly
Bell
pock.
epoch.
Bell epoch.
Sorry if I've confused anyone there.
Problem I had was that in the wet dry rig, when you turn the Bell Epoch on, it flips the phase.
And so if you imagine that the belly pock was in the wet rig, so it's only going to one amplifier, when that delay comes on, that whole amplifier, the phase is now flipped.
The phase is wrong.
And when you turn it off, when the pedal is out of the loop, it goes back in phase.
So you basically need to reverse the phase every time you turn the pedal on and off, which can be done down as a gizmo for that.
What was your solution though?
My solution, by the way, if you have a Bell Epoch Deluxe and you use it in just a straight mono one guitar amp rig, it does not matter a jot.
You don't need to worry about
It's
that at all.
no problem. It's only if you're using 2 amps and splitting them. My solution, Daniel. So I have the first 5 loops of my G2 are taken up with fuzz, octave, 3 overdrives,
Nice.
and then the next one is where I split to go out to the dry amp. So anything before that loop goes into both amps. Anything after that loop only goes into one amp, the wet amp. So I put the Bell Epoch Deluxe after the humdinger.
Right.
The humdinger is always on because the dry amp is always on.
Yep.
And therefore it never gets turned off, so it's always on. But what about all the delay that's always on, I hear you say? I've attached an expression pedal to the Bell Epoch Deluxe, which Andy Timmons style
Very good.
gives me the level of delay that I want. And depending on how you have it set, you can change different things using the expression pedal. But
What a great sound.
I have it for just the volume of the delay sound, right? And the reason I was happy to do that is because the preamp
So good.
in the Bell Epoch Deluxe is a beautiful sounding thing.
Yeah.
And just to have
22 volt, the same thing as that.
Same as an EP3 by all
Really,
accounts.
really nice.
And so that's my solution. It's on all the time. It's always in the wet amp, and I basically turned the delay on and off by using Dunlop Mini Volume X pedal. I need to order one.
They're so good.
It's great.
So good.
That's how I did it. Anyway,
Right, there we go. Bang. Guys.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you so much for everyone's comments and being involved this year. We really appreciate
It's
it.
been mega.
It has been so mega.
Yeah.
So mega. So thank you all so much. And we look forward to an amazing 2019.
Yeah, if you're playing a gig tonight or going to watch one, have fun.
Oh man, have fun. Turn the guitar up.
Yeah.
Just half, a little bit more than you normally would. Just give it a little bit. Give it some love.
Do it. Yeah, awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks
Thank you
for
guys
watching.
so much. Have a fantastic new year, and we will see you in 2019. Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.